Okay, so we'll have a very quick update for you today in reference to what kind of progress we've made this week. Did get a few questions, so I'm going to go over those and then kind of fold in some updates. So questions about financing. I went over this in the previous video. I'll touch again on it lightly. So we are going to stick to, because we are getting recommendations and some ideas that are being offered, which I genuinely appreciate. Keep those coming. We are going to stick with sort of the traditional, conventional, institutional funding. I know if you do an online search, which I guess a few of you have done, you'll see all kinds of companies that offer to do all kinds of different or varying financing. And I did receive, and I won't go into specific names. I don't want to disparage any companies. Maybe there's a purpose other than how I view them. But we are not going to go with those types of companies. You have to be very careful. And we're going to take a very long view or long approach on how we structure our financing to build out the equipment for H2O. I probably should have said that in the beginning, but we are looking to fund the build out, not just for the manufacturing of the equipment to service the contracts, but also expand some of the manufacturing capabilities, bring more of that in-house, and then as well as some of the other companies that we have under the UAT Group umbrella, such as Ossifix, taking over some of that manufacturing as well. So we're going to stick with, again, something that is not going to be overly, I guess, be structured in a way that it's not just an interest component you have to worry about. There's an equity component that would almost certainly end up devaluing what we've worked so hard and tirelessly to build. So that's where we are on that. And then another question was, so yes, I am open to doing some type of convertible debt instrument. Really depends on terms. If this is going to include large capital blocks of stock, of equity in the company that is non-gated, very loose terms, then the answer is no. We're not going to do that. Again, that's just another form of what we've been working to avoid. So what I am, and to give you an idea, we have submitted several packages, finance packages, and many of those do include a convertible debt piece that can include equity as a funding or a capital funding partner on the long term. So they would have an interest in our success. That makes sense to me. That's something where if that funding institution or that firm or that bank, in one case, wants to tie us up in the sense that they would have first right of refusal on funding and they want to be our sole funding source. And you'd be surprised how many people have said this to me as far as an investment firm. We're open to that, provided that we're tied together in such a way that it's in our mutual best interest to not harm the outward or tradable side of the operations as far as UAT Group. So that's something I'm open to, but it has to make sense. Until I see that, it's not going to happen. And I'll be very transparent on where we land. We'll let you know what the structure of the deal is, but we are not going to do something that's loose terms, non-gated. It's not going to happen. And I understand that one specific shareholder had called me and said, no, I spoke with them. I believe you. And like I told that person, I believe you. But what they say and the document that ends up landing on your desk, two different things. I've been through it several times. I just don't even take those phone calls anymore from them. So it's just not, there's a lot of, anyway, we'll leave it at that. Okay, funding amounts, valid question. So like I said, we submitted several packages. Bridge funding all the way to a larger capital block. That goes anywhere between 500,000 all the way up to 12 million plus. So we are looking at, for various purposes, I'm not going to get into those specifics or use of proceeds on that right now, but we are looking for smaller capital blocks all the way to larger continued access to capital as a funding partner. So I'll give you those numbers until I land on a specific agreement, there's no sense in expanding on that. Okay, we were asked about the surgeries. So the comparable study is going to be 120 surgeries. I think that was in the press release. I apologize if it wasn't. It really should have been. If it isn't, about 120 surgeries. We're going to be collecting a lot of data. So that is going to be pre and post-op X-rays, or they call film. And then we're going to monitor patient recovery. Everything is going very, very well, but it does slow the progress, right? It's not. We have no problem doing that. Throttling that back was always a part of the plan. Signing on these additional orthopedic surgeons, surgical facilities, hospital systems, that has been in process. Samples have gone out. A lot of communication back and forth, and that's that'll last. I'm not sure. They're probably a third or more away through that. So we'll see where that lands. But we're going to wrap it up in short order, and then we have many areas that we're going to be opening up. Okay, and not just in Texas and Florida and in the Northeast. I think I mentioned that previously as well. And they have put together a sales team for those areas, and one specifically they're putting together, and I'll be assisting them in Florida personally. Okay, and press releases. So we do have some announcements to make. We have buttoned up a few things. I'm waiting on additional information and maybe a little more progress on one or two items. Not that we're falling short or behind, but in order to validate a full pledge press release, I need to have a little more information. To do half of it wouldn't really make sense and be unprofessional. So I'll have a little more back. And specifically, I'm talking with one of the regulating entities out of, and I don't mind telling you, we have Texas, that we're looking to finalize a few, we'll say, things to move forward with what's going on over there. So we're making progress. I know that the weekly updates may not always seem huge, and they're not, that's really not the point of this. I just want to keep everybody in the loop on where we are as we move forward. And again, a lot of progress has been made, and there's a lot of activity behind the scenes. It may not always seem that way, but I have to tell you, there's a lot happening. Just the financing alone has really consumed a large portion, not only of my time, but Tom, as well as the gentleman over at H2O. It's you're putting together a package for financing in a time where access to capital is not as free-flowing as it once used to be. So they're very specific on terms and what they need to get through underwriting and get you approved, especially when you're not, if you're looking for just a quick loan, that's one thing. We're looking for long-term financial relationships so that we can continue to grow not only H2O or not only Oscifix or not only the Dream Company, but UAT Group as a collective. So we've got to put manufacturing facilities in place. We've expanded certain operations, supply chains, and obviously inventory storage. So there's a few things that we're working on. But I'll keep you in the loop. We've gone on a little longer than we should have. So I look forward to talking to you next week. I should have some more updates, and we've got a lot of things moving forward. So I have to say, generally speaking, overall, I'm very, very pleased with the progress, and I hope you are as well. Have a great weekend, and I look forward to talking to you next week.